was about 10 when we just moved to Temecula, and bought a farm that didn't have much on it. It had a barn and it had an arena, fifth generation horseman. But up until that point I didn't really do much with horses. My parents were farriers and my dad was a trainer, but I didn't really have much of an interest. Then we got the farm, I began riding, and after a few years I started knowing I'm going to make my career.
Dancing with my own shadow, and it holds me, and it...
My dad would help me jump horse and we'd go over to shows. And then what happened is got a couple lessons here and there from other trainers. And I was at a local show and Mickey Hayden was there. I think a jumper called him. He started talking with me and he talked with my father and he said, hey, you know what, one of the girls who was supposed to come and ride this horse didn't show up today and I think your son rides pretty well. I'd like to give him an opportunity to ride a horse. And so I rode a horse for Mickey, and then he offered me a working student position when I was about 15 and a half. And after a few months he offered me a job. It's been a great experience. You know, I've got to really move up through the ranks. I mean, before him I just tried to show him I didn't really know what I was doing, but I sure knew how to put a lot of effort into not knowing what I was doing. And after a lot of education, 12 years later I have some idea now what I'm doing. So in regards to my days of the horse show, it depends on what day. The beginning part of the week is a little bit more of a preparation for us. I'm either preparing clients' horses or my own horses in order to get serious for the competition. So my own horses, the big day is always Grand Prix day. That's always the Sunday or Saturday class. It's always the money class, you know, anywhere between $25,000 to $50,000. Obviously sometimes it's more than that, but that's your typical Grand Prix. And in all reality for myself, I'm really trying to prepare to be successful with that class. I've also got some young horses that I bring along. And then the client horses I try to prepare to get them ready for whatever obstacles they're going to be used to get certain regulars, certain jumps, or if I know that client's had a difficult time with the horse turning left or turning right or slowing down or speeding up or whatever, really just make sure that all the buttons are in order. And then as the week progresses, my focus shifts a little bit from riding more to teaching a little bit, as well as still continuing my own horses. But I go from riding about 10 or 12 a day at the very beginning of the week to riding more 4 or 5 of my own, not my own horses, but my own horses that are sponsored for me, as well as teaching 4 or 5 or 6 clients. One of the biggest accomplishments that's in recent history, winning the World Cup qualifier, Del Mar, that was really big. You know, a lot of the best riders in the world were there. Other neat accomplishments were holding the indoor high jump at a facility where I've jumped 7 feet high. And I move slow and softly. And then as far as other successes, you know, bringing along students and horses, that would be great. You know, not always do they have to be famous things in order to be fulfilling. That's equally as important to me, in all honesty. Part of, you know, trying to compete against, you know, million-dollar horses and multi-million-dollar horses and horses that are sometimes worth, you know, a quarter of that. That's difficult. You know what, I do think it's fair. I think it's fair because someone like myself who doesn't come from a lot of means is competing on an even playing field as close to possible. Where it's fair is the horses don't care. They don't care whether you're tall or short or fat or skinny or old or young, or all they care is how you ride and how much knowledge you have on their back. So as fair as it can be, yes, it's fair. Sometimes it's hard to compete against the horses that have more quality. But in the end, it's a race against the clock, and your skill gets put against their skill. As long as you have a horse and a rider that have enough ability to produce the results, they can beat anybody. It doesn't matter who they are or what they've done in the past. It's anybody's day, depending on how good you are. And the great thing is the better you get, it can be your day more often. I really feel like World Cups and Olympics are in my future. I don't really have a lot of doubt as far as World Cups go. The Olympics is a little bit more difficult, not necessarily because of the competition, but because of the time frame. It's every 4 years, not every year. I might have the right horse and be riding correctly, but not have the right year. It's pretty amazing to get paid to be outside all day riding horses. That seems like a pretty silly job to have.